My dear students, I am Bashir Ahmed Dar, your science teacher. Today I am going to discuss the characteristics of particles of matter. In our previous interactions, we learned about the nature of the matter. So today let us discuss what are the properties or characteristics of particles of matter. So let us discuss them one by one. The most important properties of particles of matter are that particles of matter have space between them, and the second thing about the particles of matter is that particles of matter are continuously moving, and the third important property is particles of matter attract each other. So let us discuss the first property of particles of matter, that is particles of matter have space between them. So how can we demonstrate that the particles of matter have space between them? For this, let us do an activity. Here you see, if we bring, say for example, 100-liter cylinder and pour some water into it. Say for example, we will fill this cylinder up to 50 liter, 50 ml. If you take some salt, that's common salt, which is commonly available at our homes, add some salt in the cylinder. First, you will see that the salt goes down and settles at the bottom of the cylinder. Here you can see that the here you can see that the salt has accumulated here. Due to this accumulation of salt, the level of the water may go, and certainly it should go, until the salt does not dissolve above 50. That is, the level of the water will go above 50 ml. So let us take, let me rub it here. Let us take a stirrer, say for example a glass rod or a spoon, and stir the water inside this cylinder, that is this cylinder, this one. When you stir this water, you will see that the level of the water again goes down and comes again to 50 ml. That means that the space occupied by the particles of water must have the space between the particles of water, that is, particles of salt occupy the space between the particles of water. This indicates that particles of water have enough space between them. If you add some more salt, you and stir the mixture, you can see that the volume of the water does not go beyond 50 ml after every stirring, until the solution becomes saturated, that is, no more water is dissolved, no more salt is dissolved in the water. This indicates that the particles of matter have enough space between them. And the second important thing about this um, uh, second important characteristic of particles of matter is that the particles of matter are continuously moving. How can we prove? So this one property, I will color it here for you. This property, that's is, I'm going to discuss now this second property. Particles of matter are continuously moving. So you can do a common experiment at your home. If you take a, say for example, anything that you commonly see at your homes, when you are going to make some dish at your home, you first mix things, and you can observe that the smell of the things that we mix, say for example spices, other things that we mix, it does not come until the, we start heating up. This indicates that before the heating, we have to go near the dish so as to smell it. But once we start heating the mixture, the smell of the dish comes at larger distance. That is, even outside your home, you can smell the flavor of your dish. This indicates that when heating starts, the particles of matter get enough energy, and due to this energy they move vigorously or start moving more vigorously with increase in temperature. That's why they uh, the smell of this dish comes at larger distances. This indicates that the particles of matter must be continuously moving, or certainly they are continuously moving. Similarly, I have given here an other example. Say, for example, if you take a, mm, mm, let me first. So, if you take, say, for example, an incense stick or agarbatti that we commonly use in our homes, and keep it attached to a wall in one corner, you first have to go near to the stick so as to smell its fragrance. But once you lit the stick, and that is when you get the smell while sitting at a, here, now light the incense stick, you can see that once we light the stick, the smell comes at, even if you are on the other corner of the room. This indicates that once we light the stick, the temperature of these particles of matter, that is the matter particles attached that we have lit, mm, they get enough energy, or the temperature, we can say the temperature of the matter particles increases, so the smell comes at the larger distances. This indicates that particles of matter are continuously moving, or mm, in and also once the temperature of the particles of matter increases, they get more kinetic energy, making the particles to move more vigorously. So from this we can conclude that the particles of matter continuously move, or they are in continuous motion, and this motion, in other words, you can see, since by motion, uh, we know that due to motion of the particles possess the kinetic energy. You must have learned from your physics classes. So once the temperature of the particle of matter increases, the their kinetic energy so start moving more vigorously. And the third most important property of the particles of matter is that, so that the particles of matter attract each other, even if they are moving, but they are in constant attraction. And certainly this attraction Uh, the extent of this attraction depends upon the nature of the substance. It also depends upon the temperature of the substance, and it also depends upon the nature of the substance, the temperature of the substance. So let us take an example here. Say, for example, if you take a nail and a piece of chalk and a rubber band, and if you try to break each one of them by hammering, cutting, or stretching, it is written here, you will observe that it is most difficult to break the iron nail. And the if you now try to break this the piece of chalk, it is less difficult, or it is easier to break a piece of chalk. And if you try to break a rubber band, it is most easier to break a rubber band. This indicates that the particles of iron have more attraction between them, and the particles of chalk have less attraction compared to the particles of iron, and the particles of rubber band have least force of attraction among these things. Similarly, once you increase the temperature of a substance, say for example, if you take uh, a piece of ice or a block of ice, you can see that the particles do not move to that extent as does happen in the liquid water. Once you start heating this piece of or the block of ice, you observe that it melts and changes into the liquid water state. This indicates that once we increase the temperature of the ice cubes or ice blocks, the temperature of the particles increases, so they start moving vigorously. Uh, as a result, the solid water gets converted into liquid water. But if we continuously increase or heat up this liquid water now, you can observe that the particles of water go into vapor phase, that is, they start moving more vigorously while uh, changing their phase from liquid to the vapor phase. This indicates that particles of matter must be continuously moving. So, we can conclude by uh, summarizing that the characteristics of water, that I mean the characteristics of these particles of matter are: the first is that the particles of matter have space between them, as we have demonstrated through an activity here, and the second is that particles of matter are continuously moving, and the third one is that particles of matter attract each other. So we can have to memorize here that most two important things, that as we have already discussed, that everything in the matter is everything in this universe is actually composed of the matter, that is anything which occupies space and has weight, and this is called matter, as we have already discussed. And we have already seen that anything that comes in our senses, like sight, touch, smell, hearing, and taste, this is matter. There are other things, and other important thing I must say, that's energy, which also comes in our sense, but that is not the matter part of the universe. That is called energy part, because it neither occupies space nor has weight. And since we are discussing here matter particles, so the important thing that the, about the matter particles, second important thing about matter particles is that the matter is actually composed of extremely small particles which cannot be seen with the naked eye. As see, for example, um, if you take as in our previous demonstration, through my online lecture, we have seen that a crystal of potassium permanganate can color a series of those water cylinders, as we have discussed previously. This indicates that a single crystal of potassium permanganate, or say for example, a single crystal of say sodium chloride contains millions and billions of matter particles. So with this, we have concluded our today's lecture, that is the characteristics of particles of matter. So see you again, inshallah. Bye. Be safe and be engaged in your studies at your